his interest in this, and as he and I have discussed, we are on, and as the ranking member also has been involved, we are on track to reauthorize NASA in the next couple of months, hopefully. I guess it's the next 3 or 4 months, but this will certainly be a part of the discussions that we have as we move towards a Reauthorization Act. So I would thank the gentleman. And the chair will now recognize himself for an additional 5 minutes. We'll have another round if that's acceptable. Dr. Stern, let me move back to the budget request again, and particularly the reduction of the programmatic content in the Mars portion of the budget by $918 million from FY09 to FY12. At the same time, the proposal includes a maintenance of the sequence of planned Mars missions and adding an ambitious Mars sample return mission for launch in 2018, which you heard about earlier. Various expert groups chartered or convened by NASA have analyzed the budget plan and have expressed their views that the FY09 budget and assumed budgets beyond FY13 will not support the Mars program that NASA has outlined. Let me ask you about some specific areas of concern with respect to the proposed Mars sample return mission. I understand that it's typically is good program management practice to spend some 4 to 6% of the overall mission cost on developing required new technologies for a mission before actually embarking on the project. For a Mars sample return mission, that's expected to cost in the order of $5 billion. 4 to 6% would suggest that several hundreds of millions of dollars is needed for early technology risk reduction. Can you tell me how you arrived at the low figure of only $68 million over the next 5 years for the Mars sample return technology risk reduction? Can you cite any other successful NASA science missions that spent such a low percentage on technology risk reduction without incurring cost growth and schedule delays? Next, serious concerns have been expressed that both the funding profile and the total budget for NASA's Mars sample return mission are unrealistic, and that an attempt to proceed with MSR as envisaged will lead to the need to cancel other Mars missions and ultimately to slip the schedule and increase the cost estimate for MSR. How do you respond? And then Dr. Squires will put you in the queue and like you to respond to Dr. Stern's comments when he's finished. So we'll start with Dr. Stern.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's a hefty topic. I need to take a few minutes to lay out that full picture for you because the topic is deserving of it. We have an exciting Mars program, and I want to deconstruct for just a moment the claim that our Mars program is not executable. When you actually ask the Mars experts, and I hope Dr. Squires will weigh in on this, and you say, well, we have the Mars Science Lab, the Aeronautics mission that Dr. Squires spoke of, a to-be-named mission in 2016, and then Mars sample return. Which of those do you have a problem with when you say the program as a whole is not executable? And when pressed, the Mars Science Lab is generally deemed by experts to be executable. I think people believe that we can do the Aeronautics mission on the roughly $500 million budget set aside for it. It's really not possible to say that the 2016 mission is not doable on the $880 million budget set aside because the mission has not yet been scoped. We've asked the science community to tell us what they want to do in that budget. Until they come back to us, then there's nothing to argue about. We're looking for that guidance. Now, with regard to your specific question about MSR, keep in mind that it was only in May of last year, as we were formulating the budget, that I elected that we actually take a stand, put a stake in the ground, and use Mars sample return as the central organizing theme for our Mars program going forward. Now, every Mars report of late, the Joukowsky report of the National Academy last summer on astrobiology, the MEPAG reports in our advisory panels, etc., put Mars sample return at the top. We're now putting it at the top of our priorities. We can't execute that mission until approximately 2020 because our European partners, who are interested in collaborating at about 40% of the total cost, have commitments of their own and cannot themselves ramp their budget until the middle of the next decade. So while we're executing MSL, the Aeronautics mission, and the 2016, we cannot be building up the MSR budget because we would be ahead of our partners and the phasing wouldn't work. Now, we put $68 million in this budget, and the purpose of the $68 million is not to do all of the technology development for MSR. To the contrary, this is our money for doing the architectural studies that we'll be doing the next couple of years to determine exactly what MSR consists of and which technologies need to be developed, as well as some early lead technologies that we're making an initial commitment to. Now, it's up to the Mars community. We've told them, if you want a smaller mission in 2016 and a steeper ramp to MSR, that $880 million is out there, and it can be used for both purposes. And so we can address just the 5% sort of number for technology development, for advanced development for MSR, if the community comes back with a mission that's properly scoped for 2016. If, on the other hand, the community asks to use the entire $880 million for science mission in 2016, then MSR is necessarily going to have to wait on its technology development to a later date. But that's a decision for the scientific community to make.
Dr. Squires, would you care to respond and provide your perspective? And I would ask the committee's indulgence. I think this is an important enough question that we'll go over my time a bit and make sure we get for the record your point of view.
Yes, sir, I'd be glad to. I agree wholeheartedly with Dr. Stern that a Mars program that consisted of the Aeronomy mission in 2013 for a cost of $550 million, I believe it is, another Mars mission in 2016 at $880 million, which is a hefty sum, followed briskly by Mars sample return, would be an exciting program. And I think you would find that many of us in the Mars community, certainly speaking for myself, I would stand solidly behind such a program. As Dr. Stern pointed out, and I agree, the money that's in the President's budget request for FY09 fully supports that 13 mission and that 16 mission, and we can do great things with those two missions. The problem, simply stated, is that the $68 million that is available in the next 5 years to do studies in preparation for Mars sample return is not adequate in that time frame to support, in the judgment of myself and many members of the community who have looked at this very hard, a sample return mission in the 2018 and 2020 time frame. So a consequence of the budget as it has been submitted is there are two possible outcomes. It's really very simple. One possible outcome is that we do the 13 mission, we do the 16 mission, we do great science, and Mars sample return simply moves downstream. And I don't think what I just said was too much at odds with what Dr. Stern just said. The other possibility is if you choose to anchor in 2018 and 2020 the sample return mission, then the money that you need to spend to get ready for those missions in that time frame, which you correctly state is in the realm of hundreds of millions of dollars, has to be taken out of the Mars program, and that means that you're not going to be able to do the 2013, 2016 missions. So I think it's an either-or proposition if we are faced with the very large cuts to the Mars program that the current budget entails. If, however, the money that were provided for Mars exploration was put back to the levels that we have enjoyed over the last several years, I believe that it would be possible to carry out in full the program that many of us in the community would like to see, and that Dr. Stern has, I'm sure, would like to see as well. And that would be the 13 mission, the 16 mission, and in that same time frame, do the advanced technology development necessary so that you could actually do sample return, which remains a very high priority for the Mars community in 2018 and 2020. I hope that's